today's video, as you can tell by the title, is going to be about conspiracy theories revolving around the iconic rock group, the Beatles. Now, I love music. Gabby, literally everyone loves music. But I realized that I don't really include a lot of stories on my channel that revolve around people in the music world, which really needs to change because there are so many strange stories revolving around the music industry in general. But I was like, who am I gonna start with? And it really didn't take me long to be like, the Beatles. That was like the worst accent ever. Now, I'm sure you are all familiar with the Beatles and who these four music legends are, but if you are not, the Beatles were a British rock group active from the years of 1960 to 1970, made up of George Harrison, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and John Lennon. They just completely took the world by storm. I mean, if you look up any top 100 bands of all times music list, the Beatles are literally always number one. I mean, they're just huge inspirations in the music world.
Hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, you know.
Even though in 1970 the Beatles were no more, they all still kind of were active in the music world, and especially John Lennon and Paul McCartney went on to continue to make huge hits and have amazing careers in music. Now, unfortunately, John Lennon was shot in 1980 and it was a huge tragedy, and George Harrison passed away in 2001 due to lung cancer. Even though all these years have passed, new generations still absolutely adore the Beatles and their music lives on. And so do the conspiracy theories. So I chose 3 really strange ones to share with you today, so let's just get into it. The first conspiracy theory that I'm going to be talking about is that they might have had this entire dark side hidden in their music. Now, this is a very touchy subject, but I just wanted to say that before I start any of these conspiracy theories, I love the Beatles, and I mean no disrespect to them, and I am just simply presenting to you the conspiracy theories. This doesn't mean I believe in them 100%. It's just me presenting you the information, and you can go research it on your own and form your own opinion. They're just conspiracy theories. But I don't want to give you guys a half-assed video, so I am going to try and dive into these conspiracy theories, even though they make it a little bit dark. So just keep that in mind. Going along with this supposed dark side in their music, we're going to talk about the supposed occult symbolism and subliminal messages presented in their music and in their image throughout the years. Now, we'll start with one supposed bit of occult symbolism that people really talk about when it comes to the Beatles, and that has to do with one of their most famous albums, which is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. Now, by the way, this is an amazing album from start to finish. Go listen to it. It's brilliant. But we're going to be talking about the cover of the album. The album features them and a ton of other famous faces. There's the Beatles up front and center. There I spot the beautiful Marilyn Monroe. There's Marlon Brando, good old Fred Astaire, Edgar Allan Poe, and even little Shirley Temple. But wait a second. Wait, who is that? Is that Aleister Crowley? If you don't know who Aleister Crowley is, Aleister Crowley was an English occultist who founded the religion of Thelema. Now, by definition, he wasn't a Satanist. He did not practice the religion of Satanism. But if you do any research on the guy, he was a dark dude. I mean, he did admit in a confession once that he does in fact serve his great master Satan, and he did encourage sacrificing. In one of his more popular books, Magic in Theory and Practice, he has an entire chapter dedicated to sacrificing and all about how to properly conduct a sacrifice. So people just really don't understand why the Beatles would include somebody like Aleister Crowley on their album cover. Now, it is said that the Beatles didn't also pay homage to Aleister Crowley on the album cover. In their title song off of the album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, the opening line is, "It was 20 years ago today." Their album was released in 1967, and Aleister Crowley passed away in 1947. So people think that the Beatles are also paying homage to him in the title song off the album. Now, also as a little FYI, the Beatles also wanted to include Hitler on the album cover. As you can see in this photo from the photo shoot set, Hitler's cardboard cutout over to the right. Now, it is also said that the Beatles were puppets of the Illuminati. In the book, The Committee of 300, former MI6 officer John Coleman states that the Beatles were created by the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, and that they were formed to showcase this entire anti-establishment image. The Tavistock Institute is a British charity founded in 1946, concerned with group and organizational behavior. Now, if you've never heard of the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations and you like conspiracy theories, you, my friend, are in for a conspiracy theory gold mine. I mean, I obviously can't include every bit of this conspiracy theory in this video because this video would be like 10 hours long, but I will give you guys a little bit of an overview. The conspiracy theory is that the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations on the outside looked like a normal organization dealing with charitable work and doing good deeds, but that behind the scenes they were actually working as a part of the Illuminati, and that they had this entire hidden agenda where they used the Beatles to put out these images for people to be influenced by. If you don't know what the Illuminati is, I don't know how, like if you're on this video, if you're on like the internet in general, you probably have some sort of a clue what like the Illuminati is. Whether you believe in it or not, by definition, the Illuminati is basically known as the unseen hand, meaning that they work behind the scenes and they kind of manipulate the media for people to be brainwashed by. Now, if you're familiar with musicians and music groups that are supposedly known for showing these Illuminati symbolisms in their music, you would know that the Beatles are kind of known for being one of those bands. They've included a lot of these supposed Illuminati bits of symbolism, including pyramids, the covering of one eye, and of course there's their Yesterday and Today album cover that kind of looks like dead babies. It is said that they used the Beatles to showcase this entire image of going against the system, using these psychedelic drugs, and that they also used them to showcase an image of anti-religion. Now, if you are familiar with the Beatles or you love John Lennon in general, you're familiar with the huge controversy when he said the quote, "Christianity will go, it will vanish and shrink. I needn't argue with that. I'm right and I will be proved right. We're more popular than Jesus now. I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity." Now, John Lennon, of course, completely apologized for what he said and said that it was taken completely out of context and that it was just simply a joke.
You know, I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
But it is said that the Tavistock Institute was completely behind this and that they not only controlled the Beatles, but they also controlled the Rolling Stones, the Grateful Dead, Bob Dylan, and many more. The next conspiracy theory is that Paul McCartney is actually dead. Now, when I asked you guys on Snapchat which conspiracy theory surrounding the Beatles that you wanted me to talk about, literally every one of you said the Paul is dead conspiracy theory. So I obviously have to talk about it in this video. It is definitely one of the most popular Beatles conspiracy theories. This theory states that in January of 1967, Paul McCartney was in the recording studio and that he got into a huge argument with somebody and stormed off. That he left in his car and ended up getting into a huge automobile accident that resulted in his death. and that he ended up being replaced by a lookalike named William Campbell, who won a Paul McCartney lookalike contest. Now, even though this conspiracy theory is new to some people since the internet came around, it is a very long-running conspiracy theory starting all the way back in September of 1969, when a college student named Tim Harper published an article in his school's newspaper claiming clues that point to McCartney being deceased can be found among some of the Beatles' recent albums. The rumor started circulating around London, and within no time, everyone was talking about it. On October 12, 1969, a disc jockey named Russ Gibb added fuel to the fire when he brought it up on his radio show and had people call in to discuss it. Within no time, it became a nationwide phenomenon and spread throughout the entire world, and people everywhere were trying to find clues that point to this theory being true. There are a ton of supposed clues that people have come up with throughout the years, and I'm going to share with you some of those right now. One really popular one is on the cover of the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club album. There is a palm over Paul's head, and a lot of people think that this may be some sort of symbolism as a veneration to God. Also, on the Yesterday and Today album, Paul is in a suitcase, and a lot of people think that this may symbolize Paul being inside of a casket. But one of the more popular ones, probably the most popular one that people talk about, is the Abbey Road album cover. As you can see on the album cover, Paul is the only one without shoes. Some people think that this may be signifying his closeness to the earth after death, like being in the ground. And Lennon is wearing all white. Some people think that this may be symbolizing some sort of a holy figure. Ringo is in a suit, which may symbolize him as the Undertaker. And George at the end in denim may symbolize the casual gravedigger of Paul. But Paul claims that he never really understood this conspiracy theory.
And I showed up that day with sandals, flip-flops, and so it was so hot that I kicked them off and walked across barefooted. So this started some rumor that because he was barefooted, he's dead. I couldn't see the connection myself.
Now, a lot of people who believe in this theory say that, yeah, their pictures and their videos throughout the years, you can find some clues, but it's really their music that points to Paul McCartney being deceased. One clue is if you play the outro to the song Strawberry Fields Forever. People say that John Lennon is saying the words, "I buried Paul," in the left channel of the recording. So if you have headphones, put those on and you'll be able to hear something in the left side of your headphones. I will play that for you right now. Paul later said that John was saying the words cranberry sauce, which a lot of people don't understand at all. And some people think that John is possibly saying, "I'm very bored." Also in the song, "I'm So Tired," if you play a part of it backwards, it sounds like John Lennon is saying the words, "Paul is a dead man. I miss him, I miss him, I miss him." I'm going to play that for you right now. So what do you guys think? There's a lot of these recordings out there, but those are two of the more talked about ones. Tell me down in the comments what you hear. Now, in the August 2009 issue of an Italian magazine called Wired, two forensic scientists went out to write an article for the magazine proving that the Paul is dead conspiracy is a complete hoax. They conducted a biometrical analysis of Paul McCartney's face before and after January 1967. They set out to prove that this conspiracy is completely false. And by the end of their research, they were convinced that this conspiracy is true and that Paul was in fact replaced. Now, is this all real evidence that points to Paul McCartney being replaced back in 1967? I don't know. You decide. But Paul himself declined the rumors back in a Life magazine article all the way back in 1969 when these rumors first came about. And the legend also pokes complete fun at the speculations in his 1993 live album called Paul is Live. The last conspiracy theory is that the Beatles never existed. Yeah. Or at least existed in the sense that they were presented to us. That the Fab Four were actually made up of a lot more members than just four. This theory basically says that the Beatles had multiple lookalikes of each member and that every once in a while they would rotate them. This is such an out there conspiracy theory, I mean honestly, but there's a large group of people that do believe it, and there's even a website called thebeatlesneverexisted.com. The people who run this website all began researching into this even more when they realized that there were slight differences in the Beatles' appearances throughout the years. Their reasoning behind this is that no four simple men from Liverpool could possibly pull off as much success as quickly and work as hard as the Beatles did for so long without there being multiples of each member. On this website, they present photos and videos of the Beatles and show you differences in features throughout the years. They go to such extremes and go into such great detail of the changes in the Beatles' features, and people have gotten behind this. So many people now believe in this conspiracy just because of this website. From the height of Paul compared to the other members in photos taken around the same time, to the difference in Lennon's nose shape. Sometimes he has a shorter, more straight nose, and sometimes a longer, more arched nose. To George's eye shape being different from time to time. To the shape of Paul's teeth. Now, if the last conspiracy theory about there being one simple double of Paul just completely blows your mind, you are not going to be able to take this conspiracy theory, because Dory, who is the founder of this website, says that based on all their research, they have come to the conclusion that there are 3 Johns, at least one double of George, they have no idea how many Ringos, and up to 12 Pauls. Now, a lot of skeptics out there who don't believe in this conspiracy theory say that possibly the Beatles had surgery to make their appearances different, but on this website they present photos and videos from the same exact year where the Beatles have slight differences in their appearances. So it really makes people wonder. So I hope you guys liked that video. I had a lot of fun researching for it, honestly, because a lot of the clues and bits to these conspiracy theories I had never heard of before, and I love the Beatles and I love conspiracy theories, so I was like all into it. But if you like that video, definitely make sure to like and comment, and if you're not already, make sure to subscribe and let me know down in the comments what your opinion is of the conspiracy theories that I talked about in this video, because I love hearing from you guys and I love hearing your opinions. And definitely let me know any conspiracy theory videos or videos in general that you want me to do on my channel. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.
You just gotta be free. Come together right now over me.